Good morning, and well, it's evening time, my time, and good morning to you people, to the audience, and with the first episode of the podcast of Arabia. My name is the Arabian Zed, and I'd like to start my career in making videos, contradictory videos, and controversial videos as well. Discussing various things and comparing and contrasting about certain stigmas that are happening in our day-to-day life. I also highlight and pinpoint events that are controversial and that people keep talking about, and give my honest and humble opinion regarding it. And our first topic is for today's episode is basically the difference in mentality between someone of the caliber of Khabib Nurmagomedov, or as I call him, Khabib Nurmagomedov in my mother tongue, and someone as Conor McGregor, for example, right? Now, we all know the outcome of that fight and what was the outcome of that fight. The thing is that there are, some moralities and stories and things that you should have taken from that fight that many people haven't taken, which is why. Which is the question, why? Why did that happen? Why the fight itself took place in the very first place and the outcome that way. We all know that the fight itself started when Conor McGregor was diagnosed with injury, right? And he couldn't keep up with the fighting, and that's why he relinquished his title, which resulted in Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting with Ali Quinta for the undisputed lightweight championship, right? So it was, none of them were the champions, so the fight itself was for the championship. And Khabib, obviously, as you saw the fight, he took the fight, he took the win, and he won the championship, thus making him the new undisputed lightweight champion of that division, of the lightweight division, right? And from that moment on, things kind of started spiraling with elevating between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. Now, the question is, why did that happen? Why did it take place? Why did it come to fruition to this state and matter? And why do both of those people, two of those people, went from actual colleagues, were colleagues. So basically, Khabib Nurmagomedov was seemingly some sort of a fan of Conor McGregor, and that's why you could see the pictures that they both taken together, and Khabib Nurmagomedov holding hands with Conor McGregor. Seems like Khabib Nurmagomedov was a fan of the latter, and suddenly all those settings and all those things changed. Conor McGregor, as you know him, is a very competitive individual, and he's very cocky. He leans more towards not being humble than being humble. And obviously, when he sees that his relinquished title, the title that he never lost, was in the hands of someone Russian, someone of the caliber of Khabib Nurmagomedov, obviously he would kind of start the Twitter and the keyboard warrior games on social media, right? Anything that is well known about Conor McGregor is kind of to take the fighting stage into Twitter, right? I don't blame him. He makes some sort of a publicity to himself, and he makes himself more famous than he is. Obviously, he doesn't need all that extra fame, but an extra is not bad, right? An extra of anything is not bad, obviously. And maybe he kind of felt a bit salty because he could see someone holding his title that he never lost in the first place, right? Where things started to kind of elevate in terms of animosity between those two individuals. Khabib won the championship against Ali Quinta, and then things kind of started, spiraling out of control. And what happened is the Twitter war game happened. So it went from back and forth Twitter wars between both of those two champions. And or both of these individuals, and then I mean it resulted in a very big animosity between those two. What happened is, prior to the fight, you know, there are many informations or extra info regarding what actually happened. What was the actual problem between those two? There are many extra informations. I'm not gonna delve deep into them, because if so, I mean, it's gonna take hours and hours to finish. Paying attention to details regarding this matter. Anyways, so I'm just gonna kind of give you the conclusion of the whole thing, a very short summary of what happened between those two. Things, if I may say so, things kind of took a very, very strange diversion and a very different turn between those two. And the war on Twitter, the keyboard war on Twitter started, and both of them started to throw shades on each other. And then, prior to the fight happening, Khabib was in the bus. Obviously, that very famous incident where Conor McGregor came in with 20 plus guys, or probably not 20, I would say 11 to 20 kind of ranges plus guys, and he attacked a bus with an armless Khabib and another UFC fighters, and he threw the steel chair on that bus, and he shattered the windows, resulting in many people getting injured, many fighters inside the bus getting injured because of that heinous and reckless action by Conor McGregor. And this was the catalyst, the reaction itself, or the cause of the reaction that brought up Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, which is the case, right? Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, now Conor McGregor kind of took that to a stage that he was never going to come back from. Obviously, it was way too off limits, if I may say so, and there was no going back from this. No way back. Absolutely no way back. Let me check my phone. Someone's sending me a message. People, the things that you don't understand is, we as men, we have some limits. We have some red lines that you should never, ever, ever cross. At least for real men, like real men that you consider as men, not the many men that you see as men facially, but they're not men, obviously, by action-wise. We as men, we have red lines and limitations, a zone, an infringement zone that you should never, ever, ever be trespassing. And that zone is, or these zones are, family. Family, when I mean family, means wife, children, mother, and father, and sister. You should never trespass these territories, right? And the second off limit is culture. And the third off limit, which is the most important for many men, religion, especially for the Muslims, as myself. You never trespass these regions, whatever case possible, whatever the matter. If those three limits were not introduced in the topic itself, so for example, I have an opponent didn't mention these things, I will never mention them, regardless of the animosity. We could both hate each other to the point where we want to kill each other, but you never bring up these topics, because in the first place they have nothing to do with the fight, right? They have nothing to do with the animosity that is happening between the two fighters. Has nothing to do with them. Absolutely, you keep these off limits and territories out of the way, no matter what happens, no matter the case, no matter the hate, the animosity, no matter how much you despise the opponent against you. You never bring up these topics. So the key of the fact is, what I'm trying to say is, never delve into these territories, right? Ladies and gentlemen, that's basically the catalyst that kind of resulted in the very, very much famous, infamous, notorious fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and the notorious Conor McGregor. And I don't blame Khabib Nurmagomedov for taking this very too seriously and very too religiously. Personally, obviously, if someone approaches me with these remarks, obviously I'm gonna take things into personal matters. You never trespass my family, you never trespass my religion, and you never trespass my culture. These regions are infringement regions that you should never, never, never try infiltrating into. Period. Right. So that's basically what happened, and from that point onwards, the very famous fight happened that took place, in my opinion, was the biggest, the absolute biggest, the most humongous, stupendous, gigantic fight. A fight, when I say a fight, it means I'm kind of adding between UFC, boxing, taekwondo, karate, all those mixed martial arts tournaments. I'm kind of compiling them into one, and this is the most famous one out of all of them. All of them, absolutely no doubt. The Conor Khabib fight was an absolute menace of a fight. In terms of public eye, in terms of pay-per-views, in terms of views, in terms of people's interest, this was the biggest fight, especially for the Muslim regions, for the Islamic regions. So, for example, the Middle East, you're talking about 500 to 600 million people, and the other Muslim people in the West. So, for example, Chechnya, Russia, Uzbekistan, and the Balkan regions, also in Turkey, you're talking about another billion probably, right? So this by itself kind of caught the eyes of all those Muslims altogether. And obviously this fight kind of reshaped into a fight between Christianity and Islam into the eye of many people, which obviously wasn't the case. It was just someone defending his religion against someone who was not respectful at all. I mean, if you respect, so for example, if I'm a Christian and I would like to show some sort of respect towards other person's religion, I wouldn't even bring that topic in the first place, right? Because if I disrespect someone's religion as if I am giving him a kind of an opening door, a key to open a door towards disrespecting mine. I mean, no matter if you believe it or not, this is the way you put it. This is how it is understood, and this is how it is perceived, right? No matter how much you try to make it civil, it's never gonna be civil. Period. And then we get the legendary fight between those two, and obviously, as you know, the result is Khabib dismantling, annihilating, decimating Conor McGregor, and probably ending his career, because honestly, Conor McGregor he actually absolutely never, in all dictionaries, in all books, in all stories, in all heritages and cultures, he never was back from that fight. He never brought himself back after that fight, and he never was the same. Conor never was the same after that fight. No matter how you put it, no matter how much you try to persuade me into it that he came back, no, he's not the same. Even till today, the 22nd of December, Conor McGregor is not the same man as he was before the Khabib-Conor fight. Khabib actually broke him mentally, physically, religiously, in all those other realms, aspects. Obviously, Conor McGregor's team was also not very much respectful. I'm not, generalizing the whole team. Some individuals of that team, that after the Khabib fight, they started throwing shades and slurs towards Khabib and his team, and those slurs, and that's the ironic thing. I previously mentioned that you should never trespass these regions, cultures, religions, and family. And those slurs and remarks were about all those three. And that's the ironic thing and funny thing, which I never understood in the first place. I mean, why would Dylan Dennis even, bring that topic in the first place? I mean, shut the fuck up. You're not the one meant to be saying these stuff. These stuff were between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Obviously, the Khabib team was very much respectful towards Conor's family, religion, and culture, the Irish people that we very much love. I'm sending my love to the Irish people. stay strong. You're very beautiful people with very enriching and beautiful and intriguing culture as well. And the actions of a certain individual doesn't represent you as a whole, as a culture, as the Irish culture as a whole. Yeah, and then the fight broke out and went loose between the both teams, and you started seeing Khabib Nurmagomedov jumping as, so his name is the Eagle, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he literally jumped as an eagle towards Dylan Dance and his team and Conor's team. And then you saw the Khabib's team also jumping at Conor McGregor inside the ring, and all hell went loose, and kind of a mayhem broke out in the arena. So what can we learn from this? Obviously, it's too many extra information regarding this story, and I gave just a very short summary. Obviously, that's not everything that happened between those two individuals, but my job in here is to take stories and to learn from, and give you the conclusion. What can you learn from these stories, and the morality behind those stories, and what can you learn and to enhance yourself as a human being in the first place. This is me mentioning this for the 100th time. You never disrespect someone's family, religion, and culture. That's a given. That's a first. You never do that. No matter what you face, no matter what kind of crap you're into, no matter what you're facing in life, you never make fun of these things, especially for a respectful man just like Khabib Nurmagomedov, someone who actually hasn't delved into these territories in the first place. Not even after the fight, he never said those things about. He never mentioned Conor's family, culture, and religion. Never, ever, right? He only mentioned the kind of numbers. So 150 million of Russia, on the contrary, 10 million of Irish people, Ireland, which is fine. I think this is friendly fire, right? This is not disrespecting. This is just a game number, a game of numbers, right? So people never trespass these regions. I say it again, religion, culture, and family. Please, no matter what you face in life, no matter what you are, going through, what you've been through, and what you are going to be through, never, ever mention these things in an L manner. L manner, never. Second thing is, be humble. Honestly, life, you could be, God can give you a lot of things in life, and you may be successful, going ways, making a name for yourself, making a wealth for yourself, and obviously enhancing and refining your life into the better. But never forget where you came from. Conor McGregor, you came from the streets, just like many other people do, which is, I mean, it's not a shame. If you make yourself up from the streets, you're a legendary man. You know what's up. Imagine me being on the streets, and then I'm the most famous fighter in the world all of a sudden. That takes guts, real talent, dedication, and hard work. And props to Conor McGregor for being that. But never forget where you came from. Never forget where you came from, and never forget the place you are in at the moment. So please keep thanking God, and please, from the Arabian said, be humble as much as possible, because you never know. You could go back to these days, right? So this is the second thing you can learn from this incident. The third thing that you should be learning from this incident is, please act with caution and act responsibly. Act maturely. And I'm underlining the word maturely 1,000 times. Act maturely. What happened between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov was that one side didn't act very much maturely, on the contrary to the other side, or towards the other side. And this kind of resulted into this mayhem that happened between those two. Please respect other people's religion, culture, and family. Be humble as much as possible. Never be cocky, never be non-humble. Be humble. 3 times I'm repeating that shit. Be humble, people, right? And the third one is act maturely, because acting maturely can get you ways. can get you towards good ways and can evade you from many troubles and fights and possible animosity with other individuals. So this was my take on the fight itself. I'm not per se an MMA recap or reviewer, but I take incidents from different aspects or incidents from different sports, incidents from different fields, whatever you want to fucking call it, and give my remark on it and what we can get out of it, what we can learn out of it. And so people, this basically sums up the whole fight, or the whole incident between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. Shout out to both of them. Both of them are very, very, very talented fighters, and they came a long way, and they achieved many things. Conor McGregor, double champion. Khabib Nurmagomedov, 29-0, undefeated. In my opinion, the legend of the legends, the GOAT of the sport itself. Hopefully you learned something new today. Be humble, folks. Be respectful towards others and act maturely. Today's episode was the first episode of the podcast of Arabia, presented by your one and only, none other than the Arabian Zed. So hopefully we're going to have more episodes in the future, and look forward to the future because we're going to have a hell of a time. Adios.